Legislature's Judiciary Committee held a public hearing on a bill regarding speedy trials. The bill would establish time limits for the start of a defendant's criminal trial and provide remedies for when time limits have been violated. Supporters say it would provide a solution to the backlog of trials in the state and protect individuals incarcerated who aren't found guilty. However, those opposing the bill voiced concerns with time restraints, specifically regarding homicide cases. They say although it may be a lengthy process, each examination of every trial must be evaluated correctly, and that takes time.
What LD 1771 would do is set specific and important timelines. This is a solution to the backlog problem that existed even before COVID, and it importantly protects people who are incarcerated and spending long pretrial delays in cases where they're oftentimes found not guilty or end up with credit for time served sentences that are longer than they ever should have been just because of how long they've stayed in custody.
Our goal at the lab is to complete homicide evidence examinations in each section and meet with investigators and prosecutors about those results within 180 days, 6 months. Currently, we struggle to meet that goal since we are operating at capacity. If this bill were to pass, our lab would need to complete every exam for each item of evidence in each section of the lab in less than half the time, regardless of the number of items delivered for processing.
Lawmakers will decide on the bill at a later date.